Okay, so now I'm finally doing this Vipassana video. I actually tried a couple days ago. My camera kept running out of memory. I don't know what's happening, so hopefully that doesn't happen now. And I can finish this, because I did like 3/4 videos before, but I figured it'd be easier to just, hola, do it all in one. ¿Qué?
Muy bonita.
Oh.
Yo.
Yo? Sí, sí, lindo. So, yeah, okay, so it's like 5 or 6 days out. It's like Friday now, and I finished the retreat on Sunday. And, oh yeah, so I'm talking about my experience for the 10-day Vipassana retreat. So it was like in the little mountain town. I'm in a town called Dominical right now, which is a beachy town here. It looks like this. The beach. The road. It's my hostel right over there. Yeah, so I got here. It's on the Pacific coast, and the town where the retreat was a little bit inland. A place called Monte La Cruz near San Isidro. So I'll just start by talking about what happened. So the schedule, like we get there, and day one we just kind of registered and settled in, and then the next day started the program. So we'd wake up at 4 in the morning, and then from 4:30 to 6:30 have a period of meditation. From 6:30 to 8, breakfast. 8 to 11, meditation. 11 to 1, lunch and rest. And that's the last meal of the day you get is at 11. It's all like vegetarian food. They feed you at 6:30 and 11. Really good food. But last full meal at 11, yeah. So then after the break is 1 to 5 is another meditation period. And then at 5 you get tea and a little bit of fruit. And then after that, more meditation, an hour-long discourse where the guy who started kind of, I don't know, I guess launched Vipassana into the world, like created the big program that it is now. S.N. Goenka is his name. He has all these recordings, so he plays it and like explains more about the technique and like why you're practicing the way you are. So that was helpful. And then after that, a little bit of meditation, then we go to bed at 9. So that was the schedule. And then they had men and women separate in dorms, and the whole time it was silent, so we weren't supposed to talk to each other, communicate anyway. You weren't even supposed to make eye contact. You're basically just pretending you're there alone, so you can minimize distractions and really kind of sink into some solitude and really just being with your own thoughts every day for 11 hours in meditation, and then the rest of the time just kind of, I don't know, napping or keeping yourself busy. That was one of the things. I got really bored a lot of it and had to find some creative ways to entertain myself, because after the first 2 or 3 days I couldn't nap anymore during the free time. So but there was some cool like views, mountain views in this little village, and watch for signs of life sometimes, and you know, toucans and whatnot. So that was cool. So yeah, I really liked it. I expected to maybe like have a mental breakdown, and that didn't happen, so that was good. It was a roller coaster, but it was pretty smooth sailing for me, at least. I know everybody had different experiences, but I feel like I was really ready to do that, and was able to kind of understand the technique and really got a lot out of it. I've practiced a little bit of meditation sort of sporadically, and this is the first technique I've learned that I felt like it really kind of clicked for me, that I really understood kind of what I was doing and gave me a good point of focus. And it's essentially just starting with focusing on the breath, and then you kind of move to feeling sensations on the body, just do kind of like a body scan, and you know, there's a little more to it than that, but I won't go too far into it because I found it helpful kind of not to know going into it what to expect, so I don't want to talk about the technique too much. But I definitely felt that it's really scientific, and it makes a lot of sense, just the way that you use this technique to kind of understand and accept the nature of your reality moment to moment, and that one of the big things I realized was just how much resistance creates suffering, resistance to whatever's happening. A lot of what they talk about is noticing either craving or aversion to the moment. So either craving for something that's not happening or having aversion to whatever is happening is what creates the suffering, and that we can use our sensations on our body to kind of get in touch with that, so that the link between like what happens and the fact that we experience suffering can be found sort of in the body, and that everything that happens we have a sensory reaction to. And then we are programmed kind of to feel either, if we feel pain, then we feel aversion to that, or if it's a pleasant sensation, then we crave for it more. And I found that being able to have a technique to get into my body and really notice that was happening, notice when craving and aversion was arising, and then stop that as soon as possible. And equanimity is the term that they use for just kind of keeping your mind balanced and not being, falling into craving or aversion, but just accepting the reality as it is, and just staying with the breath, staying in the present, just really kind of objective observation about our own experience, and then not reacting, but instead observing and then acting more consciously. So this technique really allowed me to kind of experience in my body some things that I'd only understood intellectually, in terms of just the nature of the impermanence of everything, and also how I perceive my experience. Because I would sit for long periods of time, after day 4, when they taught you the body scan technique, 3 periods a day were called sittings of strong determination, and you would sit for an hour and try not to move your posture. You could move if you needed to, but the idea was really to try and stay with it and to remain equanimous through any feelings that arose. And so to sit with discomfort, for me it was my knees a lot and my hips, and I got to a point where I think the thing for me was realizing that I was resisting the discomfort and then letting go and just saying, like, let me just feel what this is, like, made it completely different. Like, it was still uncomfortable in some way, but like it wasn't registering so much as pain, and I was able to just sit there and really not be bothered by it, which was really, really a cool thing, and something that I'm kind of excited to be able to use this technique and apply it to the rest of my life. And whenever emotional things arise, being able to just allow myself to feel that and sit with the experience and not have any resistance to what's happening, and how that means that my experience then isn't suffering if I'm having an unpleasant sensation or emotion, that it's just kind of what it is. So I feel like that was a really huge thing for me. And then also being able to just spend 10 days in silence and solitude and not having to worry about anything social. I really, really liked that part of it, actually, and I felt like it allowed me to feel a little bit differently now, at least in the past week, as far as like social interactions. I kind of relaxed around that a little bit, and just having to worry about myself only for like 10 days and not what I'm going to say to somebody, or who I'm going to talk to, and how I'm going to make friends and whatnot. So that was a good experience. Although I noticed right before the day that we were allowed to start talking to each other again, I totally got some social anxiety about it. Like the whole leading up to it, I'm like, oh, when we talk, it's going to be so easy now. I'm all like calm. And then like the sitting before they were going to tell us we could talk to each other, I was like, oh my God, who am I going to talk to? And what if there's people like in a group and I'm not talking to anybody, and what am I going to say? And like to notice all that come up again is interesting after kind of not feeling that for a bit. So, but it was, it was good to talk to everybody and notice that we were all feeling that way, and that we're all just kind of excited to be able to have interaction again. And so yeah, what else? I would definitely recommend this to anybody that even has the slightest bit of interest in it. Like it because it's completely accessible to anybody from any background. Like I said, it's scientific, it's not religious, but it doesn't exclude being able to practice within any religion that you might want to. But it just offers a really very clearly explained and simple, not easy, but simple technique for starting to understand the nature of how our mind works and how that creates our experience, and being able to practice a technique daily. They recommend an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening, which since I've been here hanging out on the beach, I've been doing pretty good with doing a morning sitting. I haven't been able to really get it together in the evening. That's going to be more of a challenge for me, but I feel more of a determination than I ever have before to have a regular practice, because being in that for 10 days, I mean, like over 100 hours of meditation in 10 days, is just such a blessing to have the opportunity. And the program is free, so you donate afterwards if you want. Can't give until you take a course, but if you take it and you feel like it's something that is worth giving to, then you donate, and it runs on donations and the volunteers that volunteer after they take a course. So that keeps it kind of pure, by people not, being charged for the course. So I highly recommend it, and I definitely plan on doing more of them in the future, and practicing an hour. Well, I'm going to go for it, an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening, but not be too hard on myself if that doesn't work. But, I can see how being able to meditate every day just will give me a different mindset kind of going into the day and then closing out. And I think after being deep into that for 10 days, I felt so much more grounded, and my mind was a little bit quieter, and I definitely feel like there's something to be gotten out of that. But it's definitely a lifelong practice, so I'm kind of gearing myself up for that. But they say if we could commit to like a year, that most people, if they're able to keep it up after a year, the habit's there, and it's really easy to continue the rest of your life. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I guess that's what I have to say about that now. I don't want this to be like a half an hour long video, and probably write a little bit more too. I didn't think too much before I came out to come here, so I'm sure there's some things that I wanted to say that I didn't. So, but to start, that's my experience, and yeah, if you want to do it, definitely do it. There's centers everywhere, and I'd highly recommend it. I wouldn't use the adjective fun. It wasn't fun by any means, but it was definitely worthwhile. So that's what I have to say about that. Bye.